There is an object in your home right now that you will never use again, and you still can't make yourself throw it away. A gift, a cable, a shirt that no longer fits. You pick it up, you hesitate, and you put it back. The strange part is that the reason has almost nothing to do with the object itself. It's about what your mind has quietly attached to it. And once you see that, everything about letting go starts to change. We treat clutter like a storage problem. If only we had more shelves, more bins, a bigger closet. So we organize, we rearrange, we buy another container. And a month later, the mess has quietly returned. That's the first clue that we've misunderstood it. Decluttering isn't really about your things at all. It's about creating space for what matters most to you, and the things are only standing in the way. Look closely at any cluttered surface, and you'll see it for what it is: a pile of unmade decisions. Every item set aside to deal with later is one more choice you've postponed. The mess isn't physical. It's a backlog of small decisions waiting. And that backlog has a weight. Living with clutter is like living with a constant, low-grade fever. You can still function, you go to work, you make dinner, but everything takes a little more effort than it should. Finding your keys, clearing the table to eat, falling asleep in a room that feels full. You stop noticing it, the way you stop noticing a dull ache. But your mind is paying for it quietly all day long. So why do we hold on? The first story we tell ourselves is the most reasonable one. I might need it someday, just in case. It sounds like wisdom, like being prepared. But walk through your home and count the just-in-case items you haven't touched in a year. The coat, the gadget, the box you haven't opened since you moved. For each one, you've paid a small, daily tax in space and attention to ensure against a someday that almost never comes. The second story is deeper and harder. Some things we keep not because they're useful, but because of who gave them to us or who we were when we got them. The sweater from a person we've lost. The trophy from a version of ourselves we miss. We tell ourselves we're keeping the object, but we're not. We're keeping the feeling, and somewhere along the way we decided that if the object goes, the feeling goes with it. But the memory was never inside the thing. You don't keep the object, you keep the feeling, and the feeling is yours to keep long after the object is gone. There's a reason letting go feels physically uncomfortable, and it's wired into you. The moment something becomes yours, your mind quietly raises its value. Psychologists call it the endowment effect. Giving it away no longer feels like clearing space, it feels like losing something. And the brain treats loss far more harshly than it treats gain. So you're not weak for hesitating over a chipped mug. You're running an ancient program that whispers, whatever you have, hold on to it. There's a quieter pull, too: the unused guitar, the language books, the gym gear still wearing its tag. We don't keep these because of who we were, we keep them because of who we think we should become. It's the cost of buying the fantasy of an idealized self. Letting them go can feel like admitting a small defeat, but holding on to them doesn't make that self any closer. It just fills your space with quiet pressure. And here is the part most people miss. The cost of clutter isn't only emotional, it's mental. Neuroscientists at Princeton found that when many objects compete in your visual field at once, your brain has to work harder to single out any one of them. Every pile in your line of sight is quietly pulling at your attention. You're not imagining that a messy room makes it harder to think. In a real sense, your focus is paying rent on everything you own. And that cost adds up in hours you can actually count. In one survey, people spent around 2.5 days every single year just looking for things they owned but couldn't find. Keys, phones, the remote, 2.5 days lost inside your own home. It reaches your body, too. Researchers at UCLA studied how people talked about their own homes. Those who described their space as cluttered and unfinished tended to show less healthy daily patterns of the stress hormone cortisol, an effect that showed up most strongly for women. It doesn't mean clutter is a disease. It means the place that's supposed to restore you can quietly do the opposite all day without you ever naming why you feel so tired at home. Step back and the scale becomes almost absurd. In the United States alone, there are more than 50,000 self-storage facilities, more locations than McDonald's and Starbucks combined. Entire buildings, in every town, rented to hold the things we own but no longer use. We ran out of room in our homes, so we started paying monthly rent for our clutter to live somewhere else. Every dollar spent on what you don't need is a dollar not invested in experiences, in security, in freedom. And the contrast is sharp. Surveys find that nearly 4 in 10 adults would struggle to cover a sudden $400 expense, while closets and garages sit full of money we already spent and never used. Clutter isn't only taking your space and your focus. Quietly, it has been taking your options. So here's the reframe that changes everything. You are not giving up your possessions. You are making room for the life you actually want to live. Letting go was never the loss. It's the opening. This is why the harshest minimalism rarely lasts. It treats letting go as punishment. How little can I survive with? But the goal was never deprivation. Approach it instead as alignment. Each item you release creates space that is worth more than the object ever was. And your past choices, they were made with what you knew and what you had at the time. You can let them go without shame. This isn't about regret. It's about who you are now. So stop asking how much you can fit and start asking what earns its place. You're no longer a warehouse for everything you've ever acquired. You're the curator of a smaller collection that actually means something. Meaningful simplicity doesn't ask how little can I live with. It asks, what genuinely brings me joy, and what is just taking up the room where that joy is supposed to go. And you do not need a free weekend or a personality transplant to begin. You need one surface and 10 minutes. Set a timer. Pick a single counter, a single drawer, and clear it completely. Put 4 boxes on the floor. Keep, relocate, donate, trash. Every item goes into one of them, no maybe pile, because maybe is just postponing the decision again. When the timer ends, you stop. The point isn't the drawer. It's proving to yourself that deciding is something you can do. Then make it absurdly small and absurdly real. Today, find 3 things you haven't used in a year and put them in a box by the door, a box that actually leaves the house this week. 3 things, that's it. And from now on, try one in, one out. When a new shirt comes in, an old one goes to donate. The flood stops not with one heroic purge, but with 100 tiny decisions you stop postponing. Finally, give the things that stay an actual home, a hook by the door where the keys go the second you walk in. Mail handled the moment it arrives, recycle the junk, file the rest, no later pile growing on the counter. Order lasts when your systems make staying tidy easier than sliding back into chaos. You're not trying to be disciplined forever. You're designing a home where calm is the path of least resistance. Imagine it for a moment. You walk through the door, and instead of a wall of things needing your attention, the space is quiet. Your shoulders drop. You can find what you need and breathe in a room that finally feels like yours. That feeling, lighter, calmer, more yourself, was never on the other side of owning more. It was waiting on the other side of letting go. You don't have to empty your house tonight. You just have to start with 1 drawer, 1 surface, 3 things by the door. The home you want isn't built in a weekend. It's built in 10-minute decisions you stop postponing. If this gave you even one small push, I'd love to know, what's the one thing you can't seem to let go of? Tell me in the comments, and if you want the full method, it's in the book linked in the pinned comment below. Take a breath, then go clear 1 drawer.